Welcome to Speaking Holistically, the podcast that explores the power of alternative medicine, natural healing, and homeopathic solutions to help you achieve true wellness. Each week, Dr. Jen and Amy G dive into the world of holistic health, discussing researched, time-tested remedies with expert insights from Dr. Jen, as well as real-life stories from patients to empower you to take charge of your health. So if you're ready to embrace a more natural path to wellness, let's start speaking holistically, because true healing begins from within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speaking Holistically. I'm your co-host, Amy G. I'm here with the incredible Dr. Jen, my co-host. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Amy. Thanks.
This is a Family Health Hub episode, and sometimes we'll touch on physical health. Other times it'll be mental. Your mental health is arguably even more important than your physical health, and it also impacts your physical health probably more than most people even realize. So, Jen, you're going to be tackling a mental health topic for us today, right?
Well, it's kind of both, but yes. So, our homes are our sanctuaries. Most of us go to work, we have tons of stress, whatever the situation is, but we know when we get home, we can actually exhale. And so when I come home to clutter, or if I come home to things not being done, my brain just I can't sit down, I can't relax, I have to get this stuff done. And
Yeah,
other
anxiety
people,
inducing.
yeah, well, and other people, they just shut down. They're just like, forget it. And then they don't pick anything up at all. So there's, a huge, vast array of how people handle the stress in their lives. So I never start with patients. And this is something, I do discuss this with patients as far as how they live and stuff like that. It's, I don't ask, just how are you feeling? Okay, let's go. It's like, what is happening here? And, how do you sleep at night? And, all these different things. So it does make a difference in our overall health if I know how things are happening when they get home from work or whatever. So, your master bedroom, that's what we're going to actually kind of go over today. And it sounds like a big, tall order, but it's really not. And for some people, yes, it is. But hear me out. We're not going to tackle everything. I'm just going to give some little options of, okay, what if we did this instead of this? This would make your life a lot easier. And we're going to tackle every single part of the house because some people need little snippets. I know that when one of my children gets overwhelmed with their room, I go in there and I'm like, okay, listen, you've been sitting here for 5 hours. There's a pile of clothes the size of, your car. Can we put this stuff away? No, I don't want your help. Okay, so let's do this. Why don't you put on your favorite song and pick up 10 things? Okay, I can do that. I'm like, okay. So then I come back in later. I'm like, okay, get 10 pieces of trash for me. So this is what I'm trying to do, is just little teeny itty bitty things that can make a difference in how we feel. When you come home, you definitely want a space that is a place that you can breathe and you don't have to do more. So my whole point of how I manage my house is don't put it down, put it away.
I love
Don't
that.
put it down. So my husband has a habit of putting the scissors directly on top of the counter in which the drawer resides underneath instead of right in the drawer. And I'm like, I don't get this. Then you have, well, I was going to go back and do it later. I'm like, no, just do it. Literally it's one extra step instead of having to go all the way back and come back. And my brain, it incinerates when I have to do more than what I would have had to have done. I don't touch a piece of mail more than once. I handle it right then and I'm done. I shred what I need to shred. I put this in the recycle bin. And if I have to handle this, then I will put it on my desk. And if I have the minute to do it right then, I will. Otherwise, I will put it with all the stuff that I need to do, in a 10-minute period and write all the checks or whatever I have to do. I know I'm old school. I write checks. People are like, oh, what do you mean? Don't you have Venmo? So, but I still do all of these things. So what we're going to talk about really is the master bedroom, because that is our sanctuary, regardless of what's happening in the house, regardless of what your kids have done and torn the place apart and your husband pulling everything out or leaving beer bottles or whatever the situation is, nail clippings, just you name it, right? Everybody lives definitely a little bit different. So there's zero judgment. And so with the bedroom, the biggest thing for me is visual clutter. So can I go in there and can I relax? So for me, Amy, I have a lamp on each of our nightstands and that is it. And people are like, what? How do you do that? Well, it's easy. It makes it easy because I can quickly dust whatever I need to dust because I pick up one lamp, dust under it, and we are done, and you
Mine's,
can
yeah,
pick up.
mine's a lamp and a box of tissues. That's all that's on mine. Yeah.
So, but it calms my nervous system, it calms my brain because I don't have stuff everywhere. That being said, so I have a couple of drawers in my nightstand, and that's where I keep my evening supplements. And I have little organizers. I actually bought some felt bins from like IKEA, and they fit perfectly in there, and they're quiet. They don't slide, as some of this plastic acrylic stuff. And then that stuff has its own issues. So everybody's a little bit different. If you like the acrylic stuff, do the acrylic stuff. That's fine. But I put those and I use those in other places, like in the bathroom and stuff. But in the nightstand, I don't. I use the softer felt containers. So I have my evening supplements in the one closest to the bed, in that top drawer. And I have a place for everything, and everything's in its place. So I don't have to run around looking for stuff. My biggest pet peeve is somebody moving my cheese. Like, there was a book in the 80s, you guys, if you didn't catch that reference, like Who Moved My Cheese is what the name of it is. So, but I have to have calmness in my world. So I have to know, like, when I get home, my purse goes in a specific place. So I'm not running around the house. Where did I leave my purse? Where did I leave my keys?
Yeah.
I can't do that. It stresses me out too much. And then I'm not calm with anyone else. So that is how my master bedroom works, is visual clutter. So if I can keep the visual clutter out, I'm good to go. I can handle it. But once again, I don't shove stuff in. So if you have no idea where to start, it's opening that first drawer and pick 10 things out of there and decide, do you need that there? Is that where its actual home belongs? And then the other thing is, do you actually need it? Like, have you used it in 6 months? Have you used it in a year? Have you used it in 2 years? Have you used it in 10 years? If not, toss it, give it to a friend, donate it. I don't know.
I love giving things away and donating things. It's one of my favorite things to do, honestly.
Well, and I will take things from other people. If they're like, here, let me give this to you, I'm like, perfect. Because there are people who cannot give things away because it's worth something. So if it's worth something, they don't want to donate it because they're afraid it's going to get thrown out or whatever. And I'm like, let me donate it, and then it'll find the right home. It'll bless somebody else because it's not working for me anymore. Like I said, I have a place for everything, and everything's in its place because of my philosophy of don't put it down, put it away. But if it has no home, I can't put it away. So that is the thing, is you have to find a home for these things. If it doesn't have a home, you don't need another closet. You don't need another storage bin. You need to figure out what you actually need, and just the stuff that you're going to utilize on a semi, consistent basis. So going through your nightstand, start with 10 things, and then go back to it the next day. This doesn't have to be done overnight. We have a down comforter that has, multiple flannel duvets on it at this point. And it's heavy and it's amazing, and it sticks to the flannel sheets that are on the bed as well. So, but we have that. We don't have any extra pillows. We have basically 4 pillows on the bed. I am not a big decorative pillow. I love decorative pillows. Don't get me wrong. I love them. Do I have them on my bed? No, because then I would put them on and have to take them off and put them somewhere, and I don't want them on the floor. So that's a me issue. But, it's pretty and it's clean, and we pull the bed up every day, and it gets made every single day. We fold down the sheet. Like, it looks put together, and it is put together, but I just don't have the excess on there. And really, we have 2 nightstands, a bed, and we have 1 chair. And that's pretty much what we have in our room. I know some people are going to be like, what? But, and we have a TV in there on the wall, not on a piece of furniture, because once you have a piece of furniture, now you have more places to put more things. So I have just been more of a little bit of a minimalist, because we don't really need anything in there. We keep all of our clothes in the closet. And so I'll get into that a little bit more as well in another episode of how to manage the closet and some things that might be helpful for some people. But, when you can walk into your room and go, oh, there's nothing I have to do in here, it tends to take your cortisol levels down, helps to let you sleep better because you're not living in chaos and in clutter. So if it doesn't have a home, find a home for it. If you can't find a home for it, then find a home outside your home for it. So those little things are super helpful. Also, like keeping the space clean. I will literally take a damp washcloth, not soaking wet, but a damp washcloth, and I will literally run over the wood bed frame, the nightstands, the window molding, and then flip keep flipping the rag and then go along the base molding. And I'll do that every week or 2 weeks. Sometimes the base molding, I don't get to it for 3 or 4 weeks, but it just sort of depends on the time of year. Are the windows open? That sort of a thing.
Sure.
And it takes 3 minutes maybe to do all of that, but it just stops everything from becoming overwhelming. And then, people generally will give up and they just sit down and they're like, I can't, there's just too much to do.
Yeah.
So just one little thing at a time will get you to that point. And like I said, I try not to bring extra things into the house so that there's more storage spaces, because once you have more storage spaces, voila, you have another home for something that you don't absolutely need or use.
Yeah. And the same thing with the kids, right? The children's bedrooms, you can start to adopt those same practices with your kids. I know growing up, we had to, all our toys were always put away. I joke around, but I'm half serious when I say people would walk into our home, and unless they saw us, my sister and I, face to face, nobody would think children lived in our home. There was no mess, no clutter, no nothing. And our toys were always put away and everything was organized. So not to say you need to get your kids to that point. I'm just saying my personal experience, that's how it was. Everything absolutely had a home.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, I have 4 kids. Our house has never had toys all over the place. Like if they play with toys, that's great. I'm all for it. Let's play with these toys. But then when you're finished with those toys, don't go pull out more. You got to put the other ones away first before you get that out.
Yeah.
And so that's just what we did. And the parents are so tired from picking up toys from their kids. And my viewpoint is, if they're old enough to make the mess, they're old enough to pick up the mess.
That's how my parents saw it too. Yeah.
From a young age, they would pull stuff out. I'm like, okay, put that back in. And sometimes they resisted. I'm like, no, we are not pulling any more out until this is put away. Are you done playing with it? No. Okay, well, let's continue to play with it then. So it's just creating a place where there's less chaos, where there's less, there's less things to do. I like I said, I've always worked. I've had 4 kids. We homeschool. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do in our day. And I'm no different than the parents who, in fact, the parents whose kids go to school and they work, like, oh my gosh, it's 100th day of school and it's Dr. Seuss Day and it's Crazy Hair Day and it's Valentine's Day and it's this. I mean, the amount of stuff that the parents have to do when their kids are at school, I don't know if I could do it and try to keep it all together. So, trying to just streamline some of the stuff makes a huge, huge difference. I went into somebody's home and there's, like I said, there's no judgment. We all live very, very differently. Somebody would come into my house and hate it because there's not enough stuff on the countertops. I mean, I get that. So, but I walked in and there were 8 staplers and I'm thinking, I have one stapler because it has a home. And if I need the stapler, I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah.
So, but like for me, I'm like those 8 staplers would stress me out, so I would make sure that those found a home outside my home if that were the case, and you may need one upstairs and you might need one downstairs. And I'm not saying you only need one, but I can't imagine having to figure out homes for 8 staplers. So that would stress me out.
Yeah. Well, and absolutely. And you and I, we are very much on the same page. We're both minimalists. We both hate clutter. My husband says you go through our house and you are searching for things constantly to donate or throw out. That's his belief. I don't think that's true, but he's like, anything you could get rid of. I'm just always trying to, I don't want anything extra. And so for me, I'm just always reevaluating all the time, and I definitely, I put things away immediately. I do all that stuff.
Well, emotionally though, too, what worked for us 10 years ago doesn't necessarily work for us now.
Mm-hmm.
We may have been in a relationship 10 years ago that was chaotic or abusive or thriving even. Okay. So whatever it was, and the person we were 10 years ago is not the person we are today, potentially. So was that working for us 10 years ago? Absolutely. Does that mean we have to keep it on our house? Absolutely not. And if you're not using it, then somebody else could be blessed with that by having that in their home. It might be something they absolutely need. So that's how we've done that with the kids too, is gone, they go through their rooms. Our kids' rooms are generally pretty clean. We have one of them that is not, but their brain goes very, very quickly. And so that's where I get to come in and help and be like, okay, so let's pick up 10 things, and, I don't want to be overbearing, but at the end of the day, like I need to be able to make sure that the carpet is being vacuumed, the stuff needs to be cleaned up, that sort of a thing. So It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be to my standards. It just has to be a little more functional. And that's so when they move out and they have their own homes, they don't get completely overwhelmed and then sit down on the couch and never clean anything ever again. And then it turns into an episode of Hoarders later, you know? So, I mean, well, and those people get to that point because of their mental health, right? So that's why we're talking about this is the mental health definitely plays a role into it. And we don't have any bugs in our house. We don't have any cockroaches. We don't have any mice. We don't have any of that stuff. And I have a rule that food does not go into bedrooms. The food is eaten in the kitchen.
Yep, that's our rule too. No
I
food
don't
in the
want
bedrooms.
snacks in the bedroom. I don't want food in there because then we're going to end up with uninvited critters.
Yeah.
So once again, then I don't have to hire a company or figure out how to set mouse traps or whatever. Like to me, that's way more work to try to get rid of something than if we just never invited it in to begin with. So if we can just have
Preventative
rules
measures.
on everything, if we can prevent it, then you know it makes our lives a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, and that's really preventing the clutter, preventing the mess. You know, people, well, you can't prevent a mess. No, but you can clean up a little bit after each one, and so that it isn't so overwhelming and daunting. You know.
I go through my closet regularly and pull clothes from it, and I pull anything that I'm not wearing or haven't worn, and I donate it to a battered women's shelter. And there's something so beautiful and powerful about being able to do something like that because you're making a difference in lives of women that are starting over and they probably don't have the apparel. Maybe it's a nice dress for an interview or something. And, so you can make a difference and you can improve your mental health in the process. It's just, it's a different way to reframe it, but that's the way I look at it.
Well, and and it's about, just keeping things a little bit more organized to help your mental health. I had some family members, and when they moved locally, they ended up with 3 storage units full of stuff that they had there like for the last 65 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was a lot of stuff. And they passed away and right in succession. So it was right after each other. And I was the one that got to help clean out their storage units. And it took months and months and months to clean out their storage units. Not to mention the cost of having those storage units for stuff that was basically going to be tossed, or a lot of it was tossed because it was no longer useful. I mean, you can't have a dusty Christmas wreath from 1965 that, that somebody's going to want to buy or even have in their house that can't be cleaned up. You know what I mean? Looking ahead, I don't want to burden my children with the stuff that's in my house. So, for me, that's a big one. My husband, it's not as much of a concern for him as it is for me. But I don't want to be a burden to my children. So though that's something that, I have some nice things and I have other things that they're definitely not going to want. So I'm always re-evaluating where I am, every year, every 6 months, whatever it is. You can open up a cabinet and go, you know what? I haven't used that in forever. I mean, I bought these really cool things for the kitchen. We lived in a house for 8.5 years and I'd never used it. And I'm like, well, I'll use it this next winter. I never did. So I finally just donated it. And the people that I gave it to, they actually hold garage sales, and that's how they make some of their money. And so I give them stuff, and they have this big garage sale twice a year, and she's so excited to get all the stuff. So it helps them and it helps get it out of my house, even though it was super great. I've never used it. Yes, it's worth something. But every time I open that cabinet, I'm like, oh, I really need to use that. And then what does that do? Puts more stress on me. Yeah. So every day I'm trying to find ways to create less stress in every aspect of my life. So the visual clutter is huge for me to get rid of that so that I can actually relax. And like I said, if something helps you where you're like, okay, put something in a box, and if you haven't touched it, if you haven't needed it in a year, then don't open the box again, just get rid of it, So there's a lot. We'll come up with some more. There's a lot of other details that we can do with kids, without kids, with pets, even, of some easy things to keep the house a little bit less chaotic, for our mental health and our physical health as well.
Yeah, it's all tied together, and hopefully people realize how tied together they are. But definitely for the bedroom, I mean, if you walk in there and every night when you go to bed, you stare at a chair in the corner that has a bunch of clothes laying on it that you need to fold and put away or go through and give away or whatever it is, and every night you look at that, you probably don't even realize the anxiety that is registering inside your body and in your brain. And then you're going to try to lay down and go to sleep. And people wonder why they have sleep problems. It's, everything's connected, and you don't realize how calming it is to be able to walk into a room where there's not a bunch more stuff to do, and you truly do get to decompress and let your head at the pillow and peacefully go to sleep. So this was a worthwhile topic, and hopefully people understand that you can just do a little bit at a time. I love the just take 10 things rule, or put on your favorite song, and and then when it's over, it's over. And that's the other thing, is give yourself grace to just do a little bit and allow yourself to stop and pick it up again, even if you do it every night. If you do it play your favorite song, or if you set a timer for 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes you do that, and then you're done. And just remember that the next day you can pick it up again. It's not, oh, I have to do it all, and so I'm not going to do any. So that's the other, just that rule of just a little bit at a time, I think, is just the freedom to do that. And it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's huge. Just giving yourself a little bit of grace and not being so hard on yourself. We're not perfect. We don't have to be perfect. But once again, just having that balance and the anxiety. I mean, if you were able to walk into your house and there wasn't a single thing you needed to do, how would you feel? Would you be able to breathe? Would you be able to feel better about yourself, that you're not ignoring this and you should get to this, but you can't? Now you're overwhelmed and you just sit there and scroll through your phone, Yeah. So all of those things definitely impact our mental health, but just giving yourself some grace that's a huge comment. And I appreciate that advice and that like introspection for people that you just brought up, Amy.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Thank you, Dr. Jen. I hope this inspires people to go into their spaces and clear some things out so that they can truly enjoy that room when they walk into it. So hopefully you guys can start to work on your bedrooms, and a little bit at a time, just a little bit at a time. And eventually it'll get to that point where it truly is your sanctuary again. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you again for your wisdom and your sage advice, Dr. Jen.
Thanks, Amy.
Join our school community. Our link will be below in the show notes. You can also join our Facebook page, which is called Speaking Holistically. Follow us on Instagram or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're all over the place. So, so come and join us. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. That wraps up another episode of Speaking Holistically. Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration to take charge of your health. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, be sure and join the Speaking Holistically school community by clicking the link in the show notes. There, you'll get access to daily podcast episodes, weekly live Q&As, educational content, and so much more. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and keep speaking holistically.